part of life is learning when to move on from things. And I have discovered for myself that moving on is the most difficult part of life for me. Any relationship and any capacity that you take time to build into, when you lose it, it hurts, regardless of whether you were at fault or somebody else was at fault. And that has nothing to do with book marketing that I know of, but it's what's on my mind at the moment. Marching forward, I've got a bit of a man crush on Alex Hormozy. He does a lot of content about marketing, and one thing I've been thinking a lot about recently that he talks about is doing the work regardless of how you feel about it. It's almost contrary to what I've really been thinking a lot about in the past probably 4 or 5 months. I think that there's a blend between the two opposites, but right now I'm doing the work, even though I don't feel like doing the work, and getting some results. And I think it's good to know that even when you don't feel like putting in the time, if you choose to put the time in, you will see progress. And that has everything to do with marketing. So this is a season for me of losing some relationships, one of the most important relationships in my life. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know what that is. And it's also a season of understanding that I need to move forward into relationships with people and entities, I don't know how to say that 100% support and want me to step into the next season of my life, and that I can support and learn from and help build into. That's challenging. And there are a lot of people who will look at you when you are in a growth mode or trying to become something new, and they'll think that you are fickle or what are the other words? I mean, fickle is pretty much the worst word, in my opinion, in the English language. It means you don't stick with people or things or entities. I don't know. Anyways, this has been a weird intro, but those are the thoughts on my mind. And today's guest is John Hoda. He is an absolutely amazing, inspiring man who had a long career as an investigator, a private investigator, did some police work, and his books are phenomenal. I met him just as I was discovering Robert Galbraith through Robert Galbraith's writing, and wow, just wowzers. I got so stuck. I read every single one of those books except for The Running Grave, which I still haven't gotten. But everything else I've already read since that interview, and it's been just a few short weeks since we spoke. So thanks for the recommendation, John, for Robert Galbraith. Also, your books, amazing. And his insight into marketing as an author is bar none the best I've had in a long time. He just had an eloquent way of communicating information that was understandable and easily accessible. So you're going to love this episode, learn a lot more about marketing from John A. Hoda. And now,
this is TRBM Ammo Edition. If you're a published author and want to make a living writing books and selling them to avid readers, you've come to the right place. There's simply no program that's more successful at driving readers towards the books you've written. So the only thing you have to worry about is writing a great book. And the system within Ammo takes care of the rest. Thanks for listening to this conversation.
I still use my podcast. It's not necessarily evergreen.
yeah,
But here's how I use them. I use them with my Klaviyo newsletter that works with the people that buy my or obtain my freebies.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 different freebies, one for each series. I have a police procedural series. I have a cozy mystery series. So when they opt from the Facebook ad to get a freebie, they give me their email address. They go on a email subscription list through Klaviyo, and I do a campaign every week. And my email campaign is 4 items, which I feel very genuine about. So it's not a disingenuous, scammy, salesy newsletter. Mm-hmm. The 4 things are, the first is that in the Klaviyo newsletter, and the templates are just wonderful,
Mm.
I tell the readers and people that subscribe to my email about what I'm doing now, my writer's journey, what's going on with me, maybe a paragraph or two. Then I give them a quote from the book that I'm reading right now. So I'm curating within my own genre, police
Very
procedurals,
cool.
cozies, what have you. Val McDermid, Louise Penny, Michael Connolly, the
Mhm.
lightweights, right? Of course.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I give a little quote. I
Mhm.
give their book a little love with a link, and then the next thing I do is I then point them to a podcast that I had done previously, and I give the author a little bit of love with rebroadcasting the podcast, but also by linking to their latest book.
Very
So
cool.
then I email that author, usually best-selling, award-winning author, and I say, "Oh, by the way, just wanted to let you know I'm replaying our podcast. It's still as evergreen as ever, and I'm
Yeah,
highlighting the latest book."
yeah.
So to my 3,500 subscribers. So the newsletter is genuine. I do it every week. I try to do it on Tuesdays so that there's a rhythm to it. I do it through Klaviyo. Then there's a way that I can take that and put it into a Facebook post on my author page. And
Nice.
and the way I do that is when you receive your email from Klaviyo and you want to see it in the browser,
Hmm.
you click on the browser and then you highlight the link. Then you can go into Facebook, write your little blurb, and then copy and paste that link into the body of your post, and it actually comes up. Facebook,
Brilliant.
Klaviyo said that you couldn't do it. I figured it out.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
brilliant.
yeah. So it's just a very simple, but you have to go to your browser and
Hmm.
click on a link and then attach that link as part of your Facebook post. And then the third thing I do is I go back to my MailerLite account, which was
Hmm.
the original account for
Yeah.
my favorite detective stories podcast, and I send those 793 people the link to the rebroadcast. But it also is my entire newsletter, which
Yeah.
includes, oh, by the way, here's my two bundles.
Nice. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's really
So
cool.
yeah, and I'm getting some love that way. I'm definitely getting love through the MailerLite to the previous people,
Mm.
and I'm not getting a lot of mad unsubscriptions. So it's like, okay, I'm doing well with that.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a newsletter that works. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to talk about too, because for me, email is still the biggest lag. It's the place I'm doing the worst at. Part of that is because I don't have a ton of books out right now. So I have 5 published books, but 3 of them in one series. I'm actually pre-selling the 4th book in that series as my 4-book bundle for $14.99. That's
Okay.
I do direct to sales with Ammo, and it does well. I'm profitable. I have been for about the last 60 days or so, which is nice. I took a longer time to get there than most people, but I figured it out. And the one area where I think I just can't quite turn the corner is email. And part of that is a self-limiting belief that because I don't have anything else to sell them, it's not worth bugging them. So I did have a conversation with a young lady just a little bit ago about saying, the area where that's a problem is that I get people buying my books off of my ad, and maybe they browse Facebook then for another 30 minutes, and they forget they bought my books. And so I probably have a ton of people who have bought and never even claimed the books just because, they got distracted, and I'm not emailing them to remind them I exist.
Well, your Flavio,
Yeah, yeah. Flavio, Fabio.
Fabio, and Flavor Flav. Yeah, put those two guys together. That would be a funky book.
Yeah, it would.
Anyway, yeah, that would. Anyway, in Clavio, my welcome, thank you, that you're in,
Mhm.
gives them the freebie, but then a couple days later, I then send out oh, by the way, if you haven't had a chance yet, here's an opportunity to buy the bundle.
Mhm.
So it could be that they bought the bundle and haven't exercised it yet, but by just
Yep.
sending that email out, 2 things happen. One, they had the freebie. There are a couple, maybe they're into the freebie already and like your style, and we'll do the rest of the series. Or you're reminding them that, hey, they've got that stuff waiting for them from BookFunnel. So
Yeah.
obviously it's definitely worth it. Now, here's a little something else what I do, which is kind of interesting. This was an orphan until now, and this is called Mugshots, my favorite detective stories.
What is author marketing mastery through optimization, you ask? I'm going to tell you. It's the best way for us authors to make a living selling our books. Are you tired of hearing gurus tell you your book is only good enough to be a lead magnet for services? Are you tired of feeling like you have to be a slave to social media and then frustrated when the time you spend doesn't actually help you sell books? I was too, until I found Ammo. Ammo is the only program that reliably produces results, and it works for anyone. Is it hard work? You bet. Do you have to overcome some of your own prejudices to make Ammo work for you? Absolutely. But rather than being another program that rah-rah shish-goom-bahs tries to get you emotionally excited only to offer unclear methods, Ammo shows you how to design profitable ads step by step through a unique, highly tested and targeted formula. The founder, Steve Piper, is a data-loving, formula-driven author who escaped the kingdom of Amazon to build a platform for himself, where he sold directly to his readers and built a loyal following and millions of copies sold. With Ammo, you know who's reading your books, how to contact them, and what they want to read next. If you've always been frustrated with Amazon's wall of mystery of not knowing who's reading your books and losing 50 to 70% of your hard-earned money that you are making through sales, Ammo solves all of those problems by putting you in the driver's seat and showing you how to fulfill your books directly to your readership. Click the link in the show notes to learn more.
And it's a creative nonfiction. It's 8 short stories and 8 vignettes from my career both as a police officer and insurance fraud investigator, and then as a licensed PI. So about 2 or 3 days after that reminder email about their bundle, I give them a gift. The free book is a gift.
Awesome.
And what it does is, and this is something you might want to think about, or some of your listeners would think about, is a way to do a cross-sell, is that if they get to know the author and they know the author from like one genre, but there's a chance then that the author writes in another genre, is there some sort of a book that is a bridge between them, or a novella, or a collection of short stories that you could do as a thank you? And then 3 or 4 days later, you say, oh, by the way, if you like that series and you like this book, you might like this one-time offer only to my subscribers. And that's the cross-sell to the other series.
Very cool.
So,
yeah.
And then for me, after that, keep in mind that those subscribers still receive the weekly email where I curate my journey, who I'm reading, and a podcast from from award.
That right there is the perfect thing, and it's so dumb too, because I've been looking at this for a long time. There's a podcast I really enjoy by a guy named Tim Ferriss. He's popular enough, most people probably, or many people probably know him, but he does this 5 Bullet Friday. And like, why would I not do 5 Bullet Friday or something very similar to it? Especially because I'm writing in mystery. I could literally call it 5 Bullet Friday, but use a bullet as an actual thing.
Well, you never leave one in the chamber, but anyway,
right.
I say that jokingly, but Ferriss was my original guru for, come on,
4-hour, 5-hour work week. Yeah.
Right. And then Tools of Titans and, the 5-hour chef and the 5-hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love. I mean, there's not much not to love about Tim Ferriss, actually. He's such a genuine, earnest guy and really giving. It just feels like he has such a heart to give to people. And I think that's why he's built so much.
There's such value. And that's the key. What we're both saying is that have a podcast with value.
Yeah.
Give things of value in your newsletters, right? I mean, his newsletters, I clicked on his newsletter today about the Byron Katie book. Mm-hmm. And that's now on my bookmark because I saw that. And this is somebody I've been paying attention to for over 10 years. And if you have 10 years of longevity with somebody, right? So, yeah, definitely. I agree. writing newsletters, I think the key I would say to people is be genuine. Don't be
Yeah.
disingenuous, salesy, scammy. Give value.
Yeah.
Now, we all determine what value is,
Yeah.
but give value. And then
Yeah.
that way, you're there in people's minds and you're giving them something of value that they appreciate. We both know probably that our Amazon sales for those books have gone up because
Mhm.
people are maybe a little skittish at the Shopify sales
Yeah.
button, checkout
Yeah.
page,
Right.
but they're not afraid to then cut and paste whatever it is and then take it over to Amazon and then buy it
Yeah.
there. Certainly not anything to go wrong with that. I certainly don't have any problems with that. Where I tend to offer my links to my readers and subscribers is to thrift books.
Hmm.
They can get hardcover and large print cover very inexpensively, and if they want to, at the cost that these high
Yeah.
end authors would be selling an ebook
Mm.
on Amazon. So for me, I tend to point them towards thrift. Do I have a
Yeah.
marketing? No, I don't. I mean, I
Yeah.
just it's a great place to send them. But anyway, yeah.
I love what you're all about, how technologically linked in you are. It's so important to mention that because I get, even on this podcast with authors who are doing pretty well, will say, like, I'm just too old to learn the technology. And I'm pretty suspicious that you probably know it better than I do.
Well, probably not, but I did not grow up with a tablet in my hands. Everything was all new. I must tell you that going through the beginning phases of ammo, which is the learning, doing the pixels, getting things set up, I went from a real mindset change from I don't know to I will learn. And I just became stubborn about it and I learned it.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I am really sophisticated with this, but these are the tools that we are provided with
Mhm.
to finally make sense of book marketing for indie authors. Does that
Yeah.
make sense what I just said?
Of course. And
Um,
it's absolutely right.
I am preaching to the choir, I know, Jody, but until now or until February, I
Mhm.
got turned on to this by one of the ammo evangelists, Alana
Yeah.
Terry.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
I got turned on to it then. Okay, it's pricey, but it's priceless. I'm going to say that out loud.
Yeah.
It works, and the reason it works is because if you don't know what's working, it's because you can zero in immediately on where most likely things are not working, and you can fix those things.
Yes.
Whereas previously, I Amazon algorithm, yeah, right. I have a better
Right.
chance of reading hieroglyphics on the side of
Yeah.
um, the free and bargain book newsletter swaps. I wasn't getting the read through. I thought it was my writing, quite frankly. I would do
Mm.
first in series, I would do second in series, I would
Yeah.
test all kinds of headlines and blurbs. The only thing I got out of that was people going to Amazon and leaving reviews, and the reviews were good. So thankfully, I got some
Yeah.
value out of that. But what was working? I don't know. What wasn't working? I don't know.
Yeah.
I was throwing spaghetti at the wall and didn't know what was even sticking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. So for us, it's just a matter of, okay, I'm getting my sales page up to benchmark. You and I know what that means.
Yeah.
But now it's time to look at the CTR and the CPC on my
Yeah.
Facebook. Well, what the hell's that? Well, that's something
Right.
that's a lever, a couple levers, and you can test them and you can see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I'll say this further is that maybe some people are daunted about coming into ammo. Maybe some people are saying, "Oh man, this is a lot of work. Oh man, it's expensive. Oh man, it's this or that." I say to them, what's your alternative?
Yeah.
Can you go
Yep.
backwards, Jody? Could you go backwards? Could you go back to the old way of doing stuff?
Right. Actually, let's throw in a caution right there because I agree with you, and I agree that so much. Once you start ammo and you bump your budget up, so let's say you start out and you're like, all right, I'll do $10 a day to see what this whole thing's about. I'm going to spend $10 a day on ads. and you kind of start to see some things. Maybe you get a sale every other day at that rate. Maybe it's every like third day, but you're like, I didn't used to get a sale every third day, and now I do. And you're losing money. And
Yep.
you're like, well, geez, what do I do? And then you get to profitable at $10 and you bump up to 20, and it's the same thing. You start to lose money. You can't go down to 10. You can't slow down the bleeding. And so there's a caution in there for anybody who joins Ammo. You're going to see how effective it is. You're going to see those book sales. You're going to feel that sense of gratitude for readers coming in and knowing, oh, wow, last year I managed to sell 20 books. This year I've sold 20 book deals this week. And that feeling is you're not turning back from that.
No.
And it can cost you money, as you learn how to be more proficient and do it better. There's a cost associated with that.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I had inadvertently left my phone on not silent, so the opposite of silent, noise, right?
Yeah.
About 6:30 this morning, what do I hear from my phone? Cha-ching.
Yeah. Yep.
And my wife says, "Oh, that's another sale." I said,
yes.
In the morning,
Yes.
she gets woken up by what? The cha-ching from my Shopify sale that somebody bought one of my bundles. And it was like, that's a dopamine hit that's beyond.
It sure is.
You and I probably have gone through the wars trying to get to the point where we learned about Ammo, and now we're seeing progress. So I got to tell a lot of writers right on the front end, I work just as hard on writing the best damn book I can as marketing my books the best I can. And I joined a study group. I joined a critique group. It really elevated my writing. It exponentially grew my writing. But then after, you get to be a better writer, because you're wondering why you're not getting read through on the Amazon, first in series or whatever. And you're saying, geez, is it my writing? Well, it doesn't hurt to become a better writer. I mean, it only helps to become a better writer.
Yeah.
But then after that, it's is your cover correct for your genre? Is it new? Is your title correct for the genre? I mean, there's a reason why everybody emulates, I don't say borrows or steals, Gone Girl, in that genre, right? There's a reason why there's a Thursday afternoon murder club with Richard Osman, and why people, are starting to emulate both that type of
the Wednesday night killer club. You're like,
but the titles are important, huge. Descriptions, that's getting easier with ChatGPT 3.5 or Turbo. It's getting a lot easier when you give them the right prompts. It doesn't take very long, and all of a sudden they're spitting out descriptions that say, "Oh, wow, that's pretty good."
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to use AI for anything related to marketing. But I draw the line. I draw the line on AI for my books, or it goes between chapter 1 and the end.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a couple certain baseball players we won't name, and steroids. All right, it's like, okay, you're in the record books, but
there's I will tell you. So as far as AI goes, I was writing a book, and I wanted to channel the kind of Raymond Chandler sound a little bit better. I felt like I'd lost it. So my whole series is hard boiled, and I want that kind of like hard boiled sound. And I really channeled it in the first book. I felt like by the third book, I was starting to depart from that tone. I wanted it back. So I just took a couple pages, pasted them into ChatGPT, and said, please rewrite this in the style of Raymond Chandler. I looked over what it had written. There may be some like phrases I kept. But it really, what it did for me was that it helped me to hear the voice again and see it related to my work. And then from there, I didn't go back. You just go in and start really like channeling that voice again and doing that. So I think AI is really a really cool tool. And I don't believe that any of us are going to be out of a job because AI learns how to write a stunning novel.
No, you're right. You're right about that. And although if you read Death of an Author, which is 90%, 95% by Stephen, I forget his name. It's 5% by him, and and 95% by a cohort of ChatGPT, Pseudo-Write, and Corley.
Really,
I was shocked at how good it was, and these are 3 AIs that are in the early
Yeah.
learning stages. My God. I
Yeah.
just made a decision right there. I'm going to double down on what comes out of my head because of
Awesome.
my background, my experience, and my powers of observation. And that's what I'm going to do. And,
Yeah.
if you ever want to write, I think for a traditional writer, a traditional publisher,
Publisher. Yeah. Yeah.
you might want to be able to say, oh, by the way, all this came out of my skull. None of it was,
That's
none
right.
of it was cut and pasted out of Chat GPT. But
Yeah.
anyway, I say that way. I think the other thing I think writers kind of forget is that besides, writing the best damn book they can and then making sure that their cover, title, and descriptions are solid, is that their back matter points the reader to their next book or a review, okay, or a subscription to your newsletter. Pick one.
Yeah, right. Not all three.
Not do all three. It's pick one. So
Yep.
in my case, what I do is after I write the end, literally on the same page. So there's no turning of a page. There's no Kindle touch. Right below it is want more Gwen, want more Marcia. Here's the next book in the series. Tagline, genius link, so that they can get it on any platform they want. Okay, and that's
like
what because that's for me. Now,
and you say you're doing that on the actual last page, so it's
Yep.
the end, and then right there at the bottom of the page they've actually got that link.
No,
No.
two spaces down from the end. Another,
Yeah.
carriage returns. I used to
Wow,
use the
that's awesome.
carriage return.
Yeah.
Down from the end. Want
Yeah.
more this? Want whatever tagline, and then the link, because you got them hot, you got them fresh. You don't
Yeah.
want to get into the giving that
Right.
behemoth organization their review.
Right.
You
Right.
want them to buy the next book, because
Yeah.
if you notice after the end, the next thing is you go to the review thing and they you get the stars or whatever.
Exactly.
You want them to get the next book, or
Yes.
the next thing you want is them to leave a review. You want to put that link right there for the review, rather than going through the gyrations that they have to go through with the other, the BMF company.
So I really like that, and I want to adapt actually. So I've already done this, but I don't think I've done it as effectively as I should. For Amazon, I updated all of my books that come out of there so that there's a QR code for the accompanying audiobook. So it's the same book but in audio, that you can read it with your ears while you read it with your eyes. I got that because I'm diagnosed dyslexic, and it's always really helped me to have the audio and the handheld at the same time, kind of like story time. I read really quickly and my retention is just so much better. But I put it as kind of like where the praise for this book should go. And so I've noticed if you look at the preview in the book, you don't see it. You have to actually flip backwards. So I need to change that and actually have that be functionally page one, so that when Amazon does the preview, that's the thing they see. The reason I really like it is not because I'm giving away an audiobook I spent $4,000 to produce, but because almost everybody will take you up on a free audiobook, especially if they've already bought the book. And now I have their email address. Thank you, Amazon.
Sweet.
Yeah, right.
That is sweet.
Yeah.
I haven't spent $4,000 yet for a audio narration. Now, I will tell you, on my how-to books, I have a series of how-to books related to private investigations, not the field craft, not how to snoop and snoop, snoop and scoop, but how to run a business of being a private investigator.
Oh, nice.
A lot of great investigators can investigate like hell, but they can't balance a checkbook. So I wrote 4 books on the topic of how to launch, how to market, how to boost, and then I put the 4th book as a compendium of all 4. I used Google Play's auto narrator for those books, because there is no interplay. There's no emotion between characters.
Sure, exactly.
No emotional engagement. And if they play it just slightly above 1.0, they play it at 1.1 or 1.25, you wouldn't even know that it's auto narrated. And I was told by private investigators who have to do long driving between jobs or boring surveillances that they prefer audio because, well, they can't take their eyes off the road for what they're seeing. So I used Google Play for that. It's a 50-50 split. And
that's cool.
It worked really, really well for my house. But
really cool.
I will not use auto generated yet for fiction. I believe it needs to be
Yeah,
need to have that, what you just paid for, that sort of
absolutely.
performance.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
I'm
uh,
I'm open to the idea, I guess. Going back to earlier, I'm open to the idea that AI can outperform me, I guess. Like John Henry and the steam engine. Possibly we get to a point, and then I have to redefine and ask, like, what is my value in this world if it's not telling stories? If AI can tell better stories than me, what am I going to do? I'm fairly attached to my identity as a writer, and I have been for decades now. But I do want to be open to the idea that what I think I am is maybe more than. You're really getting me in a philosophical place right now.
well,
I'm
that's
just
fine.
questioning. So
No,
yeah,
listen, I think that a writer that writes deep within
yeah,
uh, will outperform 10,000 monkeys trying to type 24
yes,
hours a day Shakespeare.
yes.
So I apologize. I'm not a big fan of AI. I
No,
know the
neither am I.
power of it, and it's only going to get better,
Yeah,
honestly. And I know that a lot of AI written books will probably read better than a lot of
yeah,
trollop that's on the Behemoth uh,
yeah,
platform.
yeah,
But you know what? At the end of the day, I want to be able to say, yeah, it came out of my head, went on a piece of paper, I
yeah,
did it, no
yeah.
cheating.
I want to take a quick pit stop, and it may be a really quick pit stop, but can we talk about Dennis Lehane at all?
Let me see. Dennis Lehane. I think I know that name, but am I talking about a person that wrote part of the Left Behind series, or is that Tim Lehane?
That's probably Tim Lehane. So Dennis Lehane wrote uh, "Gone Baby Gone." Was made into a movie with Casey Affleck. That's that book series I was curious about. You haven't read it, and so it is a fairly quick pit stop. The reason I ask is because for people who write in crime, especially detective books, it feels to me like one of the most important pieces of fiction that was ever written. He's actually gone on to get worse, in my opinion. And if he's listening to the podcast, I'd be willing to say it to his face. I love his books still. I read everything he writes, but he wrote A Drink Before the War and that entire series with Patrick and Angie. And it's funny, it's dark, it's very mysterious. You never know quite who's done what. The stakes are so high. I won't ruin one of the books, but one of the characters does something that pretty much is like unrecoverable from, and it's the right choice, but it just ruins the character. And
Hmm.
like I feel so deeply when I read his work that I have tried to reach for that kind of impact. Since Dennis Lehane is not in your catalog of authors you've read in this genre and similar, who's that person for you? Who's the author that you read them and you just thought, got to do this?
Oh man, uh, it's I for a private detective, the stuff that Lawrence Block wrote in
Oh
the
yeah.
late '60s, early '70s, and into the '80s with with Matthew Scudder,
Mm,
bar none, can't beat
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
In terms of cop police procedural, I love Michael Connelly.
Yeah.
I'll read everything that he writes, and I'm catching up. I'm up to almost the last one or the last one.
Nice. Yeah.
Both his Harry Bosch and his Mickey Howler series,
Hmm.
both. And there's times when those two characters are together.
Yeah.
We'll give that away. Um, I love the British regional crime thrillers. I like Pauline Rolson's Andy Horton. I
Mm,
like Val McDermid's Karen Pirie. She's also on. They did a television series on her, which turned me on to Val McDermid.
yeah.
Uh, then there's Louise Penny with the Armand Gamache series.
Yep.
I tried to find Three Pines when I drove south of Montreal this summer. I just had to go there, even if it was just to have a
Yeah.
cup of a slice of cherry pie, and we know what that's from.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I don't veer out of my lane much. I
Yeah.
like detective novels. I like Agatha Christie.
Yep.
I I was weaned on Sherlock Holmes. I will
Mm,
tell you that I learned more from Sherlock Holmes when I was a young police officer than I did from uh,
really.
the books on criminal investigation.
Really.
Yeah.
That actually surprises me. I'm impressed to know that.
Yeah. And yeah, seriously, as a student of Sherlock Holmes, it taught me something that the dry textbooks couldn't, and that was mindset. And that was the mindset of Sherlock Holmes on how he approached his craft. And I didn't try to emulate it, of course. I didn't want to
Yeah.
be an opium smoking, violin playing,
Yeah.
depressive, but I learned a lot from the way he approached the study of crime and the study of events taking place. And it informed me more on mindset than it did on actual tactics, for lack of a better. Going back in the day, come on, Gorky Park, Martin Cruz Smith, the whole Arkady Renko series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I read Grisham up to a point where I thought he mailed one of his stories in. You know, and by the way, Grisham's never been very kind to private investigators.
Really?
No,
well, yeah, how he portrays them. I actually thought you were talking like in real life, and maybe that's true too. Maybe he's a
wonderful human being.
Yeah.
To make the books work, I understand they have to be thugs, ex-convicts, maybe convicts, and with no morals or scruples whatsoever. So I'm just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Laura Lippman with the Tess Monahan series. I love when she wrote those. So I like it was on a rotation between Bach, Lippman, Connolly, Martin Cruz Smith, and as I would, my favorite writer these days, with the exception of one book, is Robert Galbraith.
Okay.
Familiar with that writer, Robert Galbraith, also known as that other person?
J.K. Rowling.
I didn't say that. You said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can even cut it. No, so Stephen King just tweeted the other day that he thinks that her new book is like, he was so high praise. He loves that new book. I can't think of the title of it.
Runaway Graves.
Yeah, Runaway Graves. And he just was so praising it so much. And there were people on Twitter who were trying to crucify him. And I was like, I'm not going to go, I never really go political, but this was one moment where I looked at what was happening and I thought, okay, Stephen King has, in my opinion, ruined himself with his rage at Donald Trump. Whether you're a Trump fan or not a Trump fan, he's become so single-minded in his hatred of Donald Trump that it's infected all of his fiction, and you no longer get these like great stories. You get these kind of moral explorations of what it's like to be on the right side of history. And I'm sad because I love Stephen King. But there's this guy, and he says that J.K. Rowling's Robert Galbraith writes a great book, and everyone that should be on his team dogpiles, and they are just trashing him. And I think this is absurdity at a level where I almost want to write a Jonathan Swift style pamphlet, because wow, I mean, you're not allowed to like an author and not necessarily love everything that author has to say. It's crazy.
The thing is, it's I will say this, I don't know Squazoo. Italian word, squazul. I don't know squazul about the kerfuffle about what the author you're talking about might have said about something. Don't know any of that. I just know that Cormoran Strike and Robin Ellicott make the best detective duo team in modern fiction.
That's really high praise. I mean, wow.
But I will tell you, I read them when they first come out. And I buy a hardback, which I don't normally do, and they're doorstops. Let me tell you, 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
But I had trouble with Troubled Blood because the author took a chance. It was a great chance, and it really made sense, but it drove me nuts.
Okay.
That was the suspects were of a gaming community, and that every other chapter was inline conversations between moderators of the gaming community. And when they wanted to take it to a private chat line, they went to a private chat line. So now you're watching 2 columns of conversation back and forth, like the way you see within a game chat.
Sure, yeah.
Drove me nuts. Absolutely drove me nuts.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, I just, but it's a fair assessment of the book. That's my own.
And it's also a really it's a literary swing, just like you said. That's actually somebody attempting to do art, and maybe it didn't work out like you'd hoped, but I love to see that. That's cool.
Well, go into the store. Don't buy it. Go into the store and see what I'm talking about, and then tell me whether or not you think it's worth your while or not. Then, if it is, then go ahead and buy it. But for me, every other chapter of The Suspects, I wanted to find the clues. The clues were buried in those inlines.
Oh yeah.
But I just couldn't deal with it. So I passed on it, and I'm getting ready for the next book. And I will go into Barnes and Noble and I'll look at the next book and I'll make sure there's none of that.
Yeah.
Because when you have alternating chapters between the detectives and the suspects, and every other chapter is inlines, sorry, didn't work for me. Now, that's not to say it wasn't bold. It wasn't to say that it wasn't avant-garde. It wasn't to say that it was groundbreaking, because it was. I mean, literally, you're talking with people that live in that world. They live in the game world. They don't live in reality. You know, they might walk down the street, but they're not here. They're in their game worlds. And I heard a quote somewhere that gaming, now this was not a monetized game either, but gaming as monetized outperforms in dollars and money. It outperforms all of the professional sports, NASCAR, and something else combined. So it's a tremendous moneymaker. So for her to tap into that market, maybe she's trying to go down to a younger demographic. It didn't make sense to those people that, you know, would read those inlines and just, you know, follow along like it's, you know, every day. Not me, because I'm not. But anyway, I want to. No. I love what you're saying, and actually, it triggered for me a question I've been trying to ask more authors, and especially ammo authors. If I had a gripe about ammo, and this is getting really granular, but if I had a gripe, it would be that it's very difficult to get an audience that has some years left in them. So you're almost dead, John. No. Thanks.
I guess. Well, what I'm saying is
there's an expiration date printed on my ass. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What I'm saying though is it is noticeable that my audience and pretty much everybody who's doing ammo is going to be the 55 plus. And there are some, I guess, generalizations you could take from that age group, which is you're going to see fewer word of mouth campaigns starting with the 55 plus age group. Not everybody is like that, but it's just a more general thing. And also you do have you have less time with them. And so it's this thing, can I catch 18-year-old readers with my books? They're very appropriate for somebody who's 20, 25, anything like that. How do you catch them? What are the kinds of things that you think of? Because it's pointless to force Facebook to do it for us. You take what Facebook gives you and it makes you money and you're happy. Do you think about that at all? Like trying to find an audience that maybe has more word of mouth potential or youthful, or does it not matter to you?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I think about what my goals are.
Yeah.
And I think about the Venn diagram, what is my demographic, and I am just barely scratching the surface of my demographic with my writing, and I don't need to do much more than I'm doing now to meet my success goals. And my success goals are very simple: 30 books a day. I have 3 series. I have, a police procedural series, I have a cozy mystery series, and I have a how-to series. Relatively evergreen, nothing dated about them. I'm not. And then I have another book, but I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But between those, it doesn't take long to sell 30 books a day. 30 books a day times 365 days a year is 10,000 books. Now, I'll tell you what, I do that every year, and there ain't many traditional published authors that are going to be kicking my ass at that point. Now, is there?
No, not at all.
No.
With that in mind, do you want to publish traditionally at any point? Is that something that you'd want to be a hybrid author, or is it really just the knowledge that you can do what they have done?
No, yes, and be quiet, please. My cat. She always knows when I'm on a podcast. It's like my wife always turns on the always wants to print something off on the printer. Anyway,
Yep.
anyhow, no, I am taking my present piece and I am bringing it to a New York, a traditional New York publisher.
Hmm.
Strategically, because it's a standalone, it doesn't have any real legs for a series. How many times have we seen sequels, turn out to be crap? I mean,
Right.
this is a standalone. I don't think that being an indie author that I am I am well served by trying to sell this book as an indie. Now,
Okay.
possibly, I might consider a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I might consider a Kickstarter. That was not even on my horizon 2 years ago
Sure.
when I started writing the book. So there might be a Kickstarter. But you know what? I'm not beholden to the traditional publishers. If
Right.
if I get rejected by them, okay. 90 days from that day, I decide I've been rejected enough.
Yeah.
I can go Kickstarter with it, and I won't
Yep.
have a problem with doing so. I am making a conscious money decision to publish how I publish indie mostly, and with my this one standalone traditionally published. Not
Yeah.
afraid to say that.
Sure.
If it had been a part of a series, I wouldn't be talking to a New York publisher. I would just
Yeah.
be myself. I think there's too many. My belief is that there's too many mid-list traditional published authors
Yeah.
whose great work is languishing because their
Yes.
publisher's on to the next bright shiny object, and
That's
they're
right.
not giving those traditional that backlist the kind of love they should.
Absolutely.
My
Yeah.
own opinion. So, but
Yep.
yeah, I'm not afraid to do that. I read the treatises, I guess, for lack of a better word, by J.A. Conrath way back in the day,
Yes.
the Newbie's Guide to Publishing.
Yes. What
And
an
that really,
amazing resource. If anybody's never seen it, I'll link to it in this episode because it is an unbelievably good resource. Go ahead. Sorry.
and no, and it's even more prevalent today because back then, indie authoring was the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And I think he even wrote that before the Kindle came out. So now,
Mhm.
oh my God, indie author as a path,
Mhm.
definitely. I would say that first before you could try to go traditional.
Yeah.
Reason being, traditional publishers, the acquisitions editors they don't have any clue what's going to be a home run, what's not.
Exactly.
It's just as much a crapshoot for them as it is for you or me.
Yeah.
Um,
Let them come knock on your door. That's really the piece of gold right here is go out and be a self-published author and hustle and break your back getting those books in readers' hands. And I promise you that you won't even have to deal with a literary agent. You can talk right to the publisher, and when it comes time to sign a contract, you just call a lawyer who understands contracts and go about your merry way.
I can't disagree with you on your thoughts on that. I would get an agent though, because I'm a little more interested in what my foreign translations would be.
Ooh, that
Merch,
would be
baby,
great.
got to get the merch. And, what about the movie book deals? And hey, listen, don't I want this in Croatian?
Absolutely. Wouldn't it be fantastic to have a shelf of your own, like say one book translated into 50 languages? That would be a really cool conversation piece. I would love that.
I had the opportunity a little while ago to talk with a young man who was translating an American mystery crime novel into Czech, which is not an easy language. And so he was asking me about the idioms and the things that go, what does this mean and how does that go? And it was so cool to talk to him about that because I could explain, the ins and outs of it. Like you said, Raymond Chandler and what are the ins and outs of that noir. But anyway, I happened to be in the Czech Republic maybe a year later, and I'm going down an elevator to one of their subways, great subway system there, by the way. And what do I see is that same book now up on a placard, but written, the cover's the same.
Yeah.
The language is all in Czech, but I recognized, it. And I said, oh, there it is. So it was kind of neat to see that. So maybe someday my stuff will be in Czech.
Yeah.
But
The other day, I was hanging out on Reddit a little bit. They have a Stephen King forum that I really enjoy. And there was a Russian guy who had posted, and he said, I think this probably belongs here. And it's a picture of his office, and it's all of the Stephen King books with Cyrillic lettering. And some of them, Stephen King was actually in Cyrillic, but the majority of them, everything else was Cyrillic, but his name was Stephen King. And it dawned on me when I saw that like, this is where we want to be as authors. I think I can't speak for you know, but I think that you'll at least identify with the longing is that his name is so popular. His brand is so popular that it's no longer letters that spell Stephen King. It's a visual. You see the name like you see an image. That's how popular he is. And I was like, that would be so cool.
Well, I'm going to change my name from John A. Hoda or J. A. Hoda to the author formerly known as Prince, and I'll use that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Isn't that great? I like Prince quite a bit. I've read about him.
One of the best. I'm sorry, I'm sad for his passing, but one of the best ever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's as far as opiates go, I think that's a really as someone who has had experience with abusing opiates at one point in my life, I can say that there's an exaggeration about what heroin means to you. It's highly addictive, but I think there's a lot of people who think that you're weak if you enjoy that feeling. And I think there's a lot of people who don't understand that you actually can be functional and be an opiate addict. I know I'm talking to a former police officer, and you've probably seen the worst of the worst. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. What I am saying is that Prince would have continued to give the world some really good stuff if fentanyl didn't come around. And I think I'm deeply saddened by that corruption. I don't even know how to speak about it coherently, but it's frustrating. Tom Petty, a lot of people would still be with us. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, when you legalize marijuana, you can you start cranking out fentanyl south of the border. But
right. Yeah,
I don't want to make that trite because there's just too much death and destruction based upon the economics of
absolutely
drugs. Anyway, and listen, I get it. It's not a sign of weakness. It's an addiction.
Yes.
Anyhow.
I guess my next question would be, I want to know from you, and we can make it fairly quick. I want to hear some of the nitty gritty about your budget. It sounds like you're doing a freebie funnel. Do you do a direct to sales at all?
Not yet. Very soon.
Okay. So you're doing a 2 different freebie funnels. I've never done the freebie funnel before. What are you spending on ad spend? And talk to me a little bit about that that structure for listeners.
Oh gosh. Well, here's the math. Let me just bore the bejesus out of you.
No, it won't.
All right. I'm for each series. So each series, $23 a day. It was $20 a day. I just bumped it up because I'm close to benchmark on the sales pages, which is 25%.
Yeah.
What I have to do is I have to try to lower my cost per click somewhere under $1. It's $1.21 for one, $1.76 for the other.
Oh wow!
But my click-through rates are 5.5% and 6.5% respectively.
That's great.
They're good. Yeah. So I have to lower my cost per click and try to raise my click-through rate. When I go to the landing page, my landing page is around 42%. So that's really good. I'm told it's very good. Actually, one's hovering around 50, while the other one's a little like 38%. But they're great. The way the ratio of them is. Yeah. Then we get to my sales pages, which are 25. About hovering around 25%. I'm trending towards 25%. Then I'm doing okay. I'm trending positively on my Shopify store, where I went from originally like 32%. I'm up to close to 50% now.
That's great.
On that. But here's the thing. This month, I am close to exceeding ad spend with profit. But the only way that happens is when I add in my Amazon sales, which I have no other explanation.
Oh, sure.
right? I have no other explanation for that because I'm not doing any marketing. I'm not doing any Amazon ads.
Yeah.
So I add in my Amazon ads, then I add in my Ingram Spark, my
Okay.
digital, and then it's pennies after that. But
Yeah.
essentially I add all that in, and I'm really close. I'm that close. So what I need to do is the biggest levers, or levers, depending on how you say it, are your sales page and your click-through rate.
Yeah.
So, and if you can get your cost per click down a little bit more. Now, the only way to do that is by testing new images, new headlines, new text. But you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You're always going to duplicate your existing ad set and then add to it. Now, it might mean having two ads instead of at $24, having two ads at $12 each. But at least I can get some A/B testing there between the ads and then see which one's better. Yeah. That's my first thoughts. As soon as I get the cost per click down to something that's more reasonable, and tweak out a few more percentage points on the sales page, I then will consider a direct sales page
Gotcha.
For those items. But I'm also going to do in the next couple weeks color block testing for my how-to books, and that's going to be definitely a direct sales page. It's going to go from Facebook ad and the LinkedIn ad because look, I'm in a professional,
right? Absolutely.
Professionals. Yep. So LinkedIn ad, Facebook ad, and go right to the sales page. I'm not going to take them to the store. I want to take them to the sales page. And there I can sell my compendium for $19.99 email, $29.99 print, and $25 audio. So I'm going to do that with a direct sale. So I will be doing direct sale, but I'm going to be testing it on my how-to. So then I will have, hopefully before Black Friday, I'll have 3 different series cooking, and
love it.
Hopefully making benchmark. We talk about benchmark a lot in ammo.
Yep.
Tell you what, I didn't even know what benchmark meant before. I know what the term meant, but I didn't know what it meant in terms of having metrics before I went into ammo. How did you know?
Yeah, exactly.
We have this group that is forging benchmark for us. Best practices being forged for us. Try to do that on your own.
Yeah.
So pay attention to the Facebook group, ask intelligent questions, follow the calls, the Q&A calls. I think it's well worth it. So that's where I'm going with that. See what else. And then
do you know roughly how many impressions you get for you said $23 a day for the freebie funnel? So when you're doing $23 on a freebie funnel, you're doing click traffic. Is that correct? It's still you keep it at the click traffic level. So you're paying maybe 10 to 12 cents per impression.
No, a hell of a lot more than that.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Well, if I'm paying either $1.21 per click or $1.70
click.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
You do the rest of the math.
Yeah, I need to pull up. So there's so many weird things about Ads Manager because, for example, I've had ads that have performed really well that were like yours. They're $1.30 to $1.50, but they convert really well once they hit the sales page. The current ad that I run, I get a ton of traffic. It costs me 70 cents per click. I've got a 7% click-through rate. It's just a really weird, exactly. It's such a weird ad. So I get a ton of traffic. But I'm on my sales page, I'm converting somewhere around 9%. So when it all equals out, I'm doing well. But it's funny how each ad has this kind of significant footprint to it. What I'm wondering about is I seem to remember that on the freebie funnel, I'm trying to actually look right while I'm talking to you. So the click testing was cost per link click was 33 cents average over all of the different ones. So is that about the same, or do you have it on a different metric?
Yeah, it's a different metric.
Okay.
What on the color block testing, I was killing it at like a 12% click through rate and 23 cents per click. I mean,
that's right.
Great.
Yeah.
And then going to purchase, it went up and up and up and up and up. And
yes,
you know what? uh, I've got to hone in on purchase, people with intent to purchase in the Facebook ad. You've got to get more of them, and so they're just not seeing the freebie and getting blinded by the freebie. That I want them to think of the series. I want them to think about the free book is just a way to get into the series that they're eventually kick the tires of.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I that's what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, will I go to direct sales for the two series? Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
But think of your situation, Jody, where if you're at 9%, just could you imagine if you tripled that to 27%?
Right. Exactly.
With the same ad spend? Woo!
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Exactly.
you'd be cooking with gas at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, definitely. I think that the biggest lever is the sales page. I learned that not the hard way, but here I got two tips for you before we leave.
Yeah.
And we can keep talking as long as you want, but the two tips I have for you. The first tip is what Steve gave me, Steve Piper, the author of that, gave me personally 2 weeks ago. And that was look at your stuff on your own cell phone. Don't do it through unbound.
That's right. Yeah.
Look at it. Look how things line up on your own cell phone, and then go back and make the changes so that it looks right. When I did that, it was the biggest move from having an amateurish looking site where I was asking people to give me $20 or $16 to a professional looking site that everything lined up right, everything was spaced right, everything flowed right. And then there was the matter of the verbiage that brought the people, along down to the buy button.
Yeah.
That was important. Here's something else I want to tell you. When you look in Facebook, put on notifications so that you see your notifications. And what you're going to see, this is a really good tip. When you see your notifications, you're going to see people liking your ads. Okay. You hover over the like, and that lists out everybody there likes your ads. Now, here's the kicker. You can click on that, and then it brings up an opportunity for you to invite them to your Facebook profile page, your author profile. Okay, so you click on them, and then you start growing your Facebook author page like crazy, and that's where your newsletter can go, like the way I showed you with the browser window from Klaviyo. Now, here's the fun part. Anybody that says something nice about that ad, I have it in my notes where I say, thank you very much. I appreciate your comment. If you're interested in the series, here's the link. So you give them the bundle series.
Yeah.
Well, you might like my cozy mysteries, but hey, did you know that I also write police procedurals? Give them that link in a reply. These are people that are saying things to me as the author, right, in my Facebook. And what am I supposed to say? Oh, enjoy, thank you, welcome. Oh, that's great. Oh, wonderful. I love the adulation. Oh, wonderful. No, you offer them value, because let's face it, if we're decent writers, we have a good, percent, we have good, like 4.5, 4.6 on your Amazon reviews. You're offering them value. And if you're offering them the bundle, you're getting it for cents on the dollar. Offer them that if they've already shown an interest either in your one series or your other series, whatever. And I'm telling you, I'm fine. I'm getting sales from those names because I see those names now that I've just said something nice to. Email and a Facebook reply. Next morning I wake up, there's a cha-ching. I look, that person I gave the nice little cut and paste from my
Mm-hmm.
notes into a reply. Genuine, make something genuine to start with, and then for them the offers. And then what happens? I get a cha-ching. Wow. Hey, just from what? From looking at my notifications every day and seeing who's saying thank you, or I'm going to love this series, or this is great, I like this, or whatever. And they're also made for great quotes too. I had a person in a Facebook say to me in a reply saying, if I had known that the free book was so good, I would have bought it, and I'm enjoying the rest of the series.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's a really good testimonial to use for your page at some point if you aren't already.
I am.
That's a really
So I
good
give
one.
that tip because, it's money on the table. But if you think about it, Klaviyo, email funnels, replying to people, this is contact with actual warm people.
Yeah.
Something that you don't have the opportunity with when you're only dealing with the online stores,
Yeah.
right? It's only there. So I'd say take advantage of it, go after it.
Yeah.
Uh, hmm, I'm trying to think of anything else I might be able to say, but biggest thing, of course, Steve not harps on this, but he talks about it a lot, is mindset.
Yeah.
I say that he's absolutely right. I think some people are looking for a magic bullet, and there is no magic bullets. There
I
are
don't know.
none.
JFK would disagree with you, but no.
That's that's a
I
bad.
know. I know. I'm sorry. I guess what I think about it is that as close as anything is to too good to be true, I think that's what ammo is. I don't know about you, but I paid for several other programs that said that they could provide these amazing results. And it didn't take me very long inside of those programs to realize that there was a whole lot of people saying rah rah shish kumbah, but there wasn't a whole lot of step by step. You mentioned this early in the podcast, that what Steve does that pretty much nobody has done before is do these things, and this will be the outcome. My wife and I will talk a lot about there's no guarantees in life, and this is true of things like cancer. One treatment will work for one person and not another,
Right.
but insofar as anything can work for a self-published author, ammo's the first thing I've ever seen where if you follow the steps, you will have the success. The caveat, and it's not even really a caveat, it's a mindset, like you said, is you have to be willing to change anything that gets in the way. That might be your cover art, it might be your first chapter needs rewritten, it might be all kinds of different things, and that might hurt because you might think my book is too precious to put under surgery, right? You're shaking your head. I agree. Whatever it takes, because I want the readers. I'm not a sellout. I just understand that if it's not doing what I want it to do, anything is on the table.
So you see all this handwritten stuff on this?
Yeah, yes. It's a manuscript page. It's an 8.5 by 11 or 8 by 11.5, whatever piece of, typewritten
See all the
paper.
scribbles on it? See all the
Yep.
scribbles on it? That's my first chapter, and that was what I learned from my critique group last night.
Oh, beautiful.
And I got
That's awesome.
I got 6 pages of notes like crazy. So
That's fantastic.
listen, they told me the most important thing they told me was that it didn't suck, and they wanted they wanted to turn the next page. Everything else I could fix. So I am rewriting my first chapter over this weekend.
Beautiful.
Now, was I write the best damn book you can? I said that from the beginning.
Yeah.
And if I get a critique group to tell me, give me the steps how to do it. Earlier, what you were saying was the ammo is scalable, replicable, but it also gives you measurements. Whereas the other courses don't give you the methodology to scale and replicate or measure. Now, that being said, I would not have been ready for ammo, probably the way you would not have been ready for ammo unless you had gone through those other courses. You had to go through the wilderness to hack with your machete a little bit before you could get to the clearing where you could say, okay, now the thing about it was when I first received a sales pitch, for ammo, like we all did,
it
made sense because I had been in the wilderness and now I was in the clearing and I could see it. But had I not had the experience in the wilderness, I wouldn't have known about the clearing.
Yeah.
So, it's that way of thinking about it. Now, can somebody skip the wilderness and go right to ammo? If they have the right mindset.
Yep.
If they don't have the right mindset, it's just another bright, shiny object they spend a lot of money on.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but, hey, you put the work in, and it's going to pay off. This is it's just as important to me as my actual writing, because I want to write the best damn book I can. I want to have 10,000 books sold a year. I want to get that engine chugging down the tracks, and I want that to be I don't want to say my legacy, but then if say this traditionally published book blows up and goes well, fantastic. If it doesn't, I'm still selling more than the traditionally published mid-lister,
Right.
which
Exactly.
I'm
Yes.
satisfied with.
Yeah.
This right here, it's the beginning of another trilogy. So,
Fantastic.
for me, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep writing. Nothing's going
Yeah.
to slow me down.
Yeah.
I pay attention to the Facebook posts every day on our group. I click on those likers. I love those likers. I just
Yes.
invite and
Absolutely. Yeah.
what else?
Well,
And
so second to last question for me
yeah.
is, one of them is, I want to know, do you care about format? Do you have like a special connection to paperback? Do you like your hardbacks? Or are you completely content to sell all of them as ebooks? What is your feeling about that? Because I notice in myself that the paperback sales I get always feel realer to me, even though they're not the ones that pay the bills.
Nope.
Yep.
I think that, well, I can tell you that my interest groups are those I put in the interest groups: e-reader, Kindle,
Yeah.
Kobo, Nook,
Mhm.
Barnes and Noble. I mean, I do that. I do that. So
Yeah.
I am telling Facebook, hey, I want people that are e-readers. Now, I like the way I just had BookVault do all of my print books.
Nice.
Loved. I loved the texture. I loved the feel. I loved the mat. I loved everything about it.
Yeah.
And they're also going to be doing my bundling for me too on
That's great.
books. So I'll be offering paperback bundles
Mhm.
and paperbacks. I'll be offering the bundles on my sales pages, but I'll also be offering paperbacks in my store. Hardbacks.
Less so.
They're
They're tough. Yeah, they're tough.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be happy just with, those two things, paperback and then of course, if I make enough money, if I'm doing that 10,000 books a year, I will pay for professional narration.
Yeah.
I already know who the narrator is. I just have to.
Awesome.
Yeah. Lorelei King from she does Stephanie Plum novels for Janet Ivanovich. She's also been on the I think on the Joanna Penn Creative Penn podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I just love the way she does.
Yeah. You think of it similarly to me. That's why I paid as much as I did, and you will probably pay that much, if not more, for someone who's reading for Janet. But yeah, that when you hear the voice of your character, you just know it. You're like, this is exactly how I want this to sound. And audiobook readers are unbelievable. They're so great. For everybody who's listening, tell them how to find you, where to find you, and the best way to connect with you.
Oh boy. That's easy enough. JohnHoda.com, and it's John at JohnHoda.com. Very simple. More than happy to talk to anybody about it. Anybody stuck on anything, give them a little advice. Tell them what to avoid, all the mistakes I made. Yeah. But hey, as I said in my how-to books, this isn't I went to bat and I hit a grand slam home run, first time at bat. It was, learn from my mistakes, learn from all the things I did wrong so you can avoid them yourself. And here's how we fix that. It is. That's what success is about. It's learning from your failures.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I enjoyed it a ton. I mean, you really surprised me out of the gate with all of your knowledge and your just openness to this whole process. You struck me immediately as one of the best open-minded people to the program, and it's why you've had good success and it's worked well for you. So I look forward to keeping in touch, and I think I'm going to be reading your books pretty soon. So
all right, well, yeah, and you know where to get the bundles. I mean,
that's right.
It's I'm excited about this. This is my second career. My investigative career is now in the rearview mirror, Jody.
Yeah.
I had my last big case just a month ago. I was there at 9:00 at night outside of Cheshire Correctional Facility when a relatively young man walked out of prison after 26 years of incarceration. So I was there because he was supposed to be doing a 52-year bit. and I was able to help him with his investigation and get him out of
Wow.
jail.
Wow.
And that was kind of like the cherry on top of
Yeah.
the whipped cream on top of the sundae for my career, my previous career. But my new career is writing.
Yeah.
I'm taking the same excitement about best practices towards it, and I'm working just as hard as I did before, if not harder. And I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So maybe that came across through the interview. So anyway,
I absolutely did. Yeah, you've got so much enthusiasm. Thanks so much.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to TRBM. The theme music was provided by the ever-talented Christopher Talon. And hey, if you liked what you heard, share this show with other readers, because what's the point of telling stories if nobody's listening?